Hiya. I've been a bit poorly this week, so I'm just going to do a fairly short video about a few Chico Pinheiro licks I've been checking out, and hope you enjoy it. At some point, I might post more of this solo, I don't know. Anyway, the tune's in 5. I'll attach a link to it below. It's got kind of a nice little Latin 5 groove. Starts off on the sus chord, D sus, and then moves to G minor, and then into E flat major, which is kind of where we are at with this this set of licks. So as I said, there's more stuff. There's a lot of really cool bebop scaly stuff he plays later, like bebop or semi kind of bebop lines, which I really want to dig into. They're very fast, but they an interesting take on, I think, things that could work sort of as a modernised version of Barry Harris ideas, if you like. Now, obviously, having the tune in 5 changes all of the rhythmic stuff. I'll just demonstrate that here by playing this lick. Okay, so if I count that through, 5 and 1, okay, then you can hear that we're in 5/4, but we end up on the first beat on that D, and that D is the 5th of G minor. So that's an important note. Now, the phrase itself is based on an A flat major arpeggio, just the triad, but with an added sharp 4th, prominently featured. Now that sharp 4 gives it a kind of Lydian tonality. So that suggests to me that we're thinking about the A flat Lydian dominant here, or a tritone of the D7 with a sharp 4 added to it. Now it's quite common to come across a tritone substitute, which is just the triad in bebop, so A flat major all the time. But that sort of sharp 4 adds a little bit more of a modern sound to it, which is quite nice. So he starts on the sharp 4, 1 and 2, and that's almost the ghost note, that one. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then he does that little chromatic fill in between the sharp 4 and the 3. And then straight down the arpeggio and then resolves to D. Pretty simple, but I mean, this way of resolving, to me, sounds interestingly kind of modern. Especially if you do that kind of thing. It's nice. It's a slightly, because he doesn't include the 7th. Like if I just played an A flat 7, it might sound a bit more commonplace. It's fine, but it's a bit, it's a bit more old-fashioned, a bit more commonplace. So that triad's an interesting sound. I certainly like it anyway. And as I mentioned, the phrasing of it is in 5. Now it leads on to beat 1. That's important. I'm a big advocate of putting phrases into what I call forward motion. So the whole phrase should look forward towards that final note. Whatever you call that, resolution, or whatever term you like to use, that feeling of and 1, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1. That feeling and 1, that feeling of relaxation on beat 1. It's quite important, and I was going to do another video. I was hoping to do one this week where I would go through that, but in the end I wasn't able to, but maybe next time I will. Okay, so the next phrase is, there's an initial phrase. Again, check out the original recording. I'll put a timestamp in there as well, so these licks all happen after each other. So we're now on the G minor 7 chord, and we get this. So what is that? Well, I mean, that's a G minor triad in the spread voicing. So we take our ordinary G minor first inversion shape and we just move that middle note up by an octave. And it becomes suddenly very fresh sounding. This, of course, is exactly the technique that he uses in the piece that I covered in the other Chico Pinheiro video I did. So watch that. This is a G minor shape. Okay. And then after that he does this. The first thing he does, he goes up to the 9th, so that major 7th is a very striking sound. It's a major 7th between the 3rd and a natural 2nd on the minor chord. So here's the 3rd, here's the 9th. Now they're both, perfectly acceptable chord tones, but the interval itself is quite astringent. so it adds a certain quality to the line. We're playing in big intervals, basically. It has a different sound. Okay, and then this lovely phrase, which I really like. How cool is that? So what is that? Again, it's spread triads, right? What are they? Well, it's a D augmented, so that with the middle note taken up by an octave. Next one is A in first inversion, A minor. So usually that. Then the same shape down 2 frets, which is G minor. And all these arpeggios belong very strongly to the G melodic minor scale. So, excuse me, this one's got an F sharp in it, as you can see. F sharp being the leading seventh of the minor scale, so the raised seventh, or natural seventh, depending how you look at it. And then this one, the A minor, normally in a harmonic minor scale, you would have a diminished triad here. So the fact that it's a minor triad means that you're looking at that natural sixth, which means that it's definitely melodic minor. And then G minor is obviously just G minor. So I suppose if we're doing it, that would be harmonic minor, for instance. I did a diminished for the second one. And so on. So I suppose you could go from there. If you wanted to sort of incorporate that sound into your playing, you could map out different scales using those types of shapes. So for instance, I mean, that's the minor version. But maybe if we played the same lick in major, so we just turn the bottom note up by half step. So do. That's nice. So the very first one wouldn't be augmented anymore, would it? What minor key? What major? We're in G major, right? So that one would be like this, the minor. I've forgotten what that one is now. That's it. So yeah, that's how you turn it into G major, just by doing that. So whenever you get a lick, it's always good to sort of experiment with taking the modes, putting them in different places. But 1 2 D 1 2 D 1 2 D 1 2 D 1 2 D 1 2 D. And interesting about it as well is that it's in 5. So 5 is 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 D 1 2 D 1 2 D. And the 5 arrives a little bit before the last note. The other interesting thing about it as well, is that we upstroke, or sorry, we play on beat on the first triplet. We play the highest note, the first arpeggio. Do the same for the second arpeggio. Now for the third one, we play it as the last. We play the melody note, the top note as the last note, and that just breaks it up a little bit. And it kind of probably makes it work better in 5 as well. I haven't sat down and worked out the maths yet. Maybe somebody can do that in the comments. But in any time signature, I think that would do a lot to break up the predictability of it. If I just played it like the same all the way through, sorry, you know, it gets predictable. See, like that, it's just a bit boring. Whereas if we go, we get the sense of syncopation going on, which is really important, as it is jazz after all. Okay, now in terms of technique, this isn't terribly fast. It sounds impressive, or at least it did when I heard Chico play it, because it's very intervallic, so your ear gets kind of fooled into thinking like, oh, there's a lot going on, when actually it's just bam boom ding bam boom ding bam boom da. This is not that much happening. It's not fast, but it sounds impressive nonetheless because of the intervals, if you can play it cleanly. In terms of the technique, it's just the same as I did for the piece in the other Chico Pinheiro video. I use an upstroke for the top string, downstroke for the other two. Like that, right? It's nice and easy. It feels a bit weird at first. The same for this one as well. How cool is that? So that's great. Now, I just want to cover the last phrase he plays, which is on an E flat major 7th chord. It's that. it's almost a blues line. Now this is the kind of thing which I could associate with people like Pat Metheny, I think, almost. But if you notice, mostly it's based on, he's not playing the flat seventh in that, it's just the fourth and then the minor triad, and that blue note on top, and it's G minor. So, and G minor on E flat major spells E major seventh. It's a very hip way to play E major seventh because nobody really needs to hear, sorry, E flat major seventh, beg your pardon, because nobody wants to hear the E flat on an E flat major seventh. They just want to hear the D, okay? Yeah, right, so that's what he's doing. He's just putting a G minor on the E flat major seventh chord, which is also something that Jordan Clemens might do. But because he's a guitarist, he has to put some blues in as well, which is great. Because, like, if you're anything like me, you probably thought, you know, how can I make a boring old jazz kryptonite chord like a major seventh sound a little bit hipper and a little bit more interesting? And it's a great way of doing it. Also using the triad, using the triad on the third. So in the case of, for instance, of an E minor triad on G, B minor, you know, they sound really lovely. But also that you can actually add in the blues as well. So in this case, sorry, where are we? Let me find it. I'll find it in a second, I promise. How cool is that? I'll probably just end up doing that all the time now. So yeah. So that's a very cool sound, I think, using G minor and getting that blues thing. But also I think it's kind of hip that he misses out the seventh, so it's going. You see, this sounds a bit cooler, I think, anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll hopefully have some more stuff for you next week. I'm not going probably to have time to tab these out, so I hope that I presented them clearly enough to you in this video. If there's like a burning desire for people to have this in tab, then I'll sort it out for next week. But I'm really not feeling very well, so I'll have to see how that goes. But I hope you find that interesting. Thanks for watching. Bye.